Hello, everybody, and welcome to this London Sinfonietta concert, the second of our Postcard Pieces concert, part of our Lockdown Live series. You can see lots of past concerts on our YouTube channel, and if you want to make sure you don't miss any future concerts coming up, press the subscribe button now, and you'll be alerted in good time for those. Now, I'm joined today by two wonderful Sinfonietta musicians. Oh, sorry, slight mishap there on my phone. So welcome, please, to oboist and composer Melinda Maxwell. Melinda, hi. How are you? And also to the Sinfonietta's principal first violin, Jonathan Morton. Jonathan, welcome.
Hi, Patrick.
Great. Now, about 2 weeks ago, this project started because I met with two composers, Deborah Pritchard and Samantha Fernando, both of whom use graphic notation in their pieces. Now, graphic notation, if you don't know, is where you compose a piece but notate it not by using traditional music notation, but by using more art kind of based concepts like colors or shapes. You might use some written words or maybe fragments of musical notation. And when we asked anybody and everybody across the country, across the world, to submit a graphic score of their own, written either on the back of a postcard or a piece of A5 paper, and we've been selecting a few to play in these concerts. And today we've got 8 pieces we've selected. Jonathan, when you're choosing a graphic score, what do you look for in it? What stands out about them?
That's exactly the right word to use, Patrick. It's what sort of jumps out at you. I mean, the submissions were wonderful, really creative and very distinctive and individual. It was a real pleasure to look through them, but certain ones, you know, just little sort of light in my imagination, and that's kind of what guided me.
Fantastic. And Melinda, you're also a composer as well as an oboist. What's the advantage of using graphic notation as a composer?
Well, I mean, of course, they're very open, these scores. There's no prescriptive element in them at all. I'm not being told to use a certain scale or a certain riff. And so the form is beautifully open and the imagination can really take hold here. I mean, obviously it depends how one thinks and moves and plays. You know, one has nuts and bolts of how you do it. But I think when you look at these pieces, these images, I think they awake something in one's mind, and it's that interesting relationship between the image and the music that you're going to make. I find that really a very fertile ground.
Fantastic, thank you. It's a wonderful description. So we're going to start with a piece which Jonathan's going to play, and it's been sent in by the Mermaid Cafe. And I did a bit of digging on Twitter, and I discovered that the Mermaid Cafe are an experimental duo who like to sing and play. And this piece they sent in was actually made during a live improvisation they gave with another musician, and they talked about it being, they hit it with sticks and they poured paint in it and used it as broad brushstrokes. It's a gorgeous looking piece of pinks and reds and blues. And Jonathan, let's hand it over to you and hear how that sounds. Wow, Jonathan, what a fantastic start to the concert. Thank you so much. They talk on their Twitter feed about singing, and I really could hear you singing in that piece, a kind of gorgeous sort of folky singing style. You played the drone on your lowest string throughout?
Yeah, I sort of detuned a violin into that kind of basic E drone.
Yeah,
It was a bit of fun, really. Yeah.
and I love how it took off with all those harmonics and the highest pitches at the end. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. If you want to join in with any comments about the concert, do kind of start the chat on the Twitter feed or via our YouTube channel. Either way, we'll do. I'd love to hear from you. Now, our next piece is going to be played by Melinda, and it's been sent in by SUVEY PERERA. And SUVEY, it's really touching actually, because SUVEY is an NHS doctor, a hospital medic, and her husband is an orthopedic surgeon. So they must be so busy at the moment. And SUVEY took time to paint, to draw, to imagine, to create this piece and send it in. I'm going to read out what she sent with it as well, because it's really beautiful. So she's married to an orthopedic surgeon, and she comes from a family of doctors, and the rainbow colours that she uses in this piece signify that or pay tribute to that. Also, her niece, who is really dear to her, loves rainbows and loves dressing up in rainbow colours. So it's also a tribute to her. There's a bar of music. You'll see one tiny bar of music in it, and that bar comes from the first dance at SUVEY's wedding. And the three love hearts represent her mother and her sister, and they call themselves the Three Musketeers. And there's also a pencil drawing of a fetus in the room as well, and that's kind of signifying the most important thing to SUVEY at the moment, which is the fact that she is 17 weeks pregnant as well. So, and above all of this, she's remembered to paint some sunshine as a kind of a stroke of optimism to remind us that there are brighter times ahead. So, Melinda, we'd love to hear, please, SUVEY PERERA's piece.
Can't hear you. I can't hear a thing. What's going on?
I thought I clicked on mute and it didn't quite take. Melinda, that was so beautiful and sort of joyful and celebratory. Thank you very, very much for that. And thank you, SUVEY, for sending that piece into us. Wonderful. Now, our next two pieces, when I saw them, I thought they would go well together. They both feel quite organic. We'll hear a piece from Jonathan in a second, but secondly, we'll hear a piece played by Melinda by LUCI Gala, which is a lovely kind of watery, almost sort of microscopic looking score, very kind of blue colours, lovely sort of gorgeous colours in there. So I'm looking forward to hearing that very much. And before that, NAOMI Wu, hello NAOMI, has sent in a piece called Houseplant Symphony. And Jonathan's got lined up behind him some houseplants. Jonathan, do you want to tell us more about your houseplants?
Yes, well, a little bit. Naomi asked, the instructions in her postcards were to find some houseplants in your home and line them up next to her beautiful little diagrams, drawings of houseplants, and then invent a symphony, which is quite, I mean, symphony is quite an ambitious word for this kind of thing. So I thought I'd be ambitious, and I lined up 4 of my own houseplants. And we've got a sort of really contrasting group. We've got a ZZ plant here, from originally from South Africa, which is great for purifying the air, but you have to be careful, it's quite toxic if you touch it. We've got this kind of really hirsute dragon plant here in the background. A very strange plant that grows, that started this big and is now reaching the height of the other one. And then these lovely ones that I love called Pelia plants, which is the friendship plant. It was given to us by a violinist colleague. And these plants keep having babies, and so you have to repot them. And the babies are called pups. And it's just really fun. We all, locked in, so houseplants, I guess, take on a special resonance in these times. So anyway, I've put them there for sort of general inspiration.
Fantastic. Well, let's hear Houseplant Symphony first, and then we'll hear Lucy Gaylor's piece after that.
So it's in four movements.
can't hear anything. What's going on? For fuck's sake. I can't hear anything. Can you put, I have unmuted, I don't know what's going on. What the hell's going on? Okay, okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, and I've unmuted as well, so I'm hoping we'll carry on. I'm going to keep talking unless I get another message from somebody saying they can't hear. I can't, oh, good, this is good news. I was saying that it occurs to me during Jonathan's piece, every great garden and every great symphony needs immense variety in them. And, Jonathan gave us that from the spiky second plant to the more floaty fronds of the third. And Melinda during Lucy Gaylor's wonderful piece, you were doing things on the oboe that some people may not have heard. I mean, we know the violin can play chords, more than one at a time, but here you are playing chords on the oboe. What were they?
Well, I have to say there are an awful lot of them in the oboe. There are about 350 of these unorthodox fingering patterns that produce these extraordinary sounds. It's sort of like the beast within. You only have to lift the lid a little bit, and this fantastic creature comes out. And this is the character of the oboe for me. It's got this, you know, we try and make it beautifully smooth and pure, but actually there's a whole raft of stuff behind, just behind, that if you let it out of the bag is a little bit wild.
Fantastic. Now, I know that I think it's on the 25th of May, you're going to be exploring further contemporary oboe techniques here on the YouTube channel of the Sinfonietta, aren't you, I think? Yes. So we can all come in then in about 2 weeks' time and find out even more about what the oboe can do in the modern world, which is a great deal by the sounds of things. Thank you. So we're going to do 2 more pieces now. Melinda, you're going to play a piece by today's youngest composer, who's called Morgan McKinney, who is age 7, only age 7, proving it's never too young to start composing and creating your own music. And his piece is called The Slow. And apparently he demonstrated to somebody exactly how slow this piece could be by playing it on the mandolin. So we're going to hear your version of The Slow. And that'll be followed straight away by Jonathan playing Edward Cooper's piece. And Edward says of his work that it's intended to evoke a sense of fragility and vulnerability and should operate near the threshold of silence. Jonathan, are you doing that in Edward's piece? Jonathan, we've just lost your sound as well. The Zoom gremlins, like Melinda's oboe, are sending things out from underneath their keys. So we'll come back to you in a minute, but Melinda's going to play Morgan McKinney's piece, The Slow. Oh, we've lost Jonathan's sound again. I'm so sorry. We're just going to have to interrupt. I was waiting because I didn't know if Jonathan was playing so near the threshold of silence that we couldn't hear him. But I think actually we've just lost his microphone briefly. So while that's kind of being sorted out a little bit in the background, I'll just tell you about next week. We've got one more concert of these postcard pieces next Friday at 1 o'clock here on the Sinfonietta's YouTube channel. So if you're feeling inspired in any way by today's concert, despite the technical problems, then get painting, get creating, get imagining, get drawing, and send us in either on a postcard or a piece of A5 paper your creation, and we may be able to select you. We're going to hopefully get a kind of gallery of all our submissions up soon, which are many more than just the 8 we played today and last week's. We're hoping to hear more of those. Just to say that next week's concert will be played by Christian Barraclough on the trumpet and Jolie Coos on the cello. So 2 different instruments, trumpet and cello, to look forward to. Are we ready now for Jonathan? Can I have a thumbs up? Are we ready? We're going to hear Edward's piece. Oh. And again, Jonathan? We've still got a little bit of silence. So what I'm going to do is we're going to skip forward, and Melinda, let's leap forward to Samuel Johnston's piece called The Rest is Silence. Now, when we see this score, it's very dramatic in a kind of an enigmatic and rather minimal way. Melinda, could you describe it to us at all?
Well, I mean, the title itself is very provocative. I mean, it makes me think of John Cage, the famous composer of the 60s in America. And of course, it's a quote from Hamlet, Patrick, as you reminded me earlier. So it's terribly poignant, this. And the look of it on the page is very simple. Although, actually, having said that, the limitations actually give one quite a lot to think about. This is... So I've had a little think about it, and I'm very interested in the 1.5 in the middle.
Fantastic. It's 1.5. I could work out as 1.5 meters or 1.5 minutes. I'm not sure. We'll have to have a look. So there's 2 single, very small notes, quavers, separated by this space, this notated space in between. So well, let's hear that, Melinda, please. Samuel Johnston's piece. The Rest is Silence. That was Samuel Johnston's The Rest is Silence, played by Melinda there. Now, I wonder whether Jonathan is back with us yet on the violin. Jonathan, are you here? Oh, it seems sadly not for the time being. Well, let's see if we can still correct that. And while we're waiting for that, just to alert you that on 2 concerts coming up on Monday, we have introduction to the contemporary trombone presented by the Sinfonietta principal trombone Byron Fulcher. So come and enjoy us on Monday. And on Wednesday, we've got a live concert being given by pianist Cleona Shanahan, involving works by 2 composers whose music I always really enjoy hearing, Patrick Brennan and Edward Nesbitt. So if you're around next Wednesday at 3 p.m, you can join us for Lockdown Live then. Now I'm just waiting now to find out. Jonathan, speak again to us.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Jonathan, it's so lovely to hear you again. Welcome back. Can you play us now Edward Cooper's piece, which was all about fragility and silence, and had a score that had tiny fragments in it, and as well as some very barely readable words, legible words. Let's hear that. Jonathan, thank you. That was very haunting, very atmospheric. I was just looking at Edward's score, and the music he does give us are all full of microtonal intervals, which are intervals smaller than the semitones, smaller than the interval between 2 keys on the piano. And it was really interesting to hear you using that microtonal tuning during the piece. It was really beautiful. It was definitely worth waiting for, so I'm glad we got you back online. Now, we've got our last piece coming up, which is a piece by Joshua Brown. And Josh was clearly a very talented artist as well as musician, because he's sent in the most beautiful picture of what I think is cherry blossom, but that's not my area of speciality. And Jonathan's just bringing in some extra help for this piece. He's bringing in the help of his wife, Cleo, who's also a brilliant violin player, and their daughter, Iris, who's also going to play. And he's even been out and taped, I think, some birdsong. Jonathan, if you can unmute, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, well, I was enchanted by this this postcard. I love the kind of cherry blossom spring feel, which seems to resonate with what's going on outside at the moment. And then the notation. This was one of the submissions which had quite specific notation, rhythmic notation to it, and I just liked the combination of very suggestive drawing or painting and very specific notation, and it immediately conjured up birdsong to me. So I enlisted the help of my wonderful family, Cleo, my wife here, and Iris, who's behind the mixing desk. It's very DIY at home music making, and obviously we've not quite performed this in its current form, so it's a little bit experimental, but we hope it works. Hope you enjoy it.
Fantastic. Over to you. Wow, thank you, Jonathan, and Cleo, and Iris as well, for that splendid finale. I mean, it's such a wonderful tradition of birdsong in music, isn't there? I think of Olivier Messiaen and Vivaldi and all sorts of other people. So, and recorded birdsong, Respighi and other people. So great to hear that. And Joshua, thank you so much for inspiring that with your submission. So if you are going to compose a piece for us, get doing that. We've got one more Postcard Pieces concert next Friday, the 15th of May at 1 p.m. Do send them to us, and we will select 8 to play, either on the trumpet or on the cello. Melinda and Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us and bringing those scores to life so magnificently. I was just beautiful, just lovely thing to do for an hour at lunchtime, is to listen to you two play. So thank you very, very much. And I hope to see you both in normal times at some point in the future. The Sinfonietta would like to thank the Arts Council of England, who support and underpin everything that they do, and also many trusts and foundations and individual donors who support our work as well. If you're interested in supporting our work, you can find out more about how to do that on the website. In the meantime, I was going to say thank you also to Sinfonietta colleagues behind the scenes. Adam, who's been firefighting with microphones during this concert. Well done, Adam. Thank you very much. And also Ruti and Natalie and Daniel, who've been really involved in these concerts. And so, well, I think that's probably it. I think we'll just wave bye-bye and hope to see everybody next Friday. Okay, thanks, everybody.